Ahead of Nigeria's presidential election, security remains a major concern for citizens as they prepare to elect a new leader on Saturday. A fire outbreak ravages an entire foam manufacturing company at Denton Bridge. And the Tunisian authorities and partners are initiating measures to mitigate growing migration challenges. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching The World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Now, as Nigerians go to the polls Saturday, 25th February 2023 to elect a new president, security remains a standout concern for the citizens in the West African nation. Now, despite the growing tension, many Nigerians are hoping to witness a violent, free election while urging the government to take up its responsibility to safeguard the population. The country's electoral body plans to work with these thousands of security personnel to be deployed across the country to maintain peace. Here's more details of that in this report.
For voters, the safety of lives and property during the election period is critical.
I expect that the government should provide security, maximum security, so people would come and vote freely, and peacefully, no violence. So that's what I look forward to.
In previous elections, we've seen people snatching ballot papers and a lot and causing chaos at the election poll. We actually pray that these security agencies they will help us to fight corruption, help us to experience free and fair election.
The citizens also have a role to play to help the security personnel maintain decorum, maintain peace, in the sense that if there is any problem anywhere, they can at least call security personnel to help out instead of taking the law into their hands.
The United Nations says over 350,000 people have been killed in Nigeria since the beginning of an insurgency in the country in 2009.
As we speak now, there are about 40 local government areas that are volatile. What we are currently facing as threats to our safety is banditry, and in the west, in the east, we have the IPOB, and then generally we have political talks. So these elements have been identified.
Security analysts say the government faces a tall order in guaranteeing safe polls.
It is absurd to hear that in a sovereign country like Nigeria, terrorists are holding communities to ransom. So for the government should rise up to their responsibility, mobilize the necessary armed forces, both Air Force and the military, to bombard those territories, evacuate the insurgents, and reclaim the communities so that the people can be resettled and then they would vote.
Police authorities in the country say 10,000 constables will be deployed across the country to provide security and ensure stability during the elections. The electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, says it will be working closely with security agencies to ensure safety of the electorate, election materials and personnel throughout the period. And the government claims it is winning the war against insecurity.
And we will keep you posted on the developments leading to Nigeria's elections this Saturday, the 25th of February 2023. Now, moving on, marking International Modern Language Day, President of the United Nations General Assembly, Kaseba Krosi, said that modern languages promote tolerance and social inclusion. Every year on February 21st, people around the world celebrate International Modern Language Day to encourage linguistic and cultural diversity as well as multilingualism. Now, the theme for this year's, of course, celebration is multilingual education, a necessity to transform education, aligns with recommendations made during the UN Transformation Education Summit in 2021. Yahya Jammeh tells us more of that in this report.
Mother tongue refers to the first language learned at home in childhood and still understood by the person at the time the data was collected. If the person no longer understands the first language learned, the mother tongue is the second language learned. The idea to celebrate International Mother Language Day was the initiative of Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, 21st February is the anniversary of the day when the people of Bangladesh, then East Bengal of Pakistan, fought for recognition of the Bengali language. It is observed all over the world. President of the United Nations General Assembly Sabah Qureshi said, "The mother language can help in our quest for transformative solutions as we tackle today's interlocking challenges." President Qureshi says it also plays a key role in the development of identities.
Mother language is our first tool for understanding the world, the soundtrack of our childhood. It plays a critical role in the development of our identities. It is shaped by our past, our culture, and our environment. And it shapes our existence, expressions, and interactions.
Qureshi also said the vast linguistic bounties should not be allowed to slip away. He highlighted that all young people should be given the option of learning in their mother tongue.
We cannot allow our vast linguistic bounty to slip away with the shifting sands of time. It is critical that we preserve it. We can do this, first and foremost, by ensuring that all young people are given the option of learning in their mother tongue. Access to multilingual and mother tongue education is a vital accelerator of progress to achieve Sustainable Development Goal number 4. The use of mother languages promotes tolerance and social inclusion. It can help us in our quest for transformative solutions as we tackle today's interlocking challenges.
Commemorating the world's languages, all 6,700 of them since 1999, the day aims at celebrating ways of showcasing the world's linguistic tapestry, committing to the preservation of the diversity of languages as a common heritage, and working for quality education in mother tongues for all. The event was co-organized by the permanent missions of Bangladesh, Denmark, Guatemala, Hungary, India, Morocco, and Timor-Leste, as well as the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
Now, moving on, leaders of the African continent recently converged in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa for the African Union Summit, with the theme accelerating the implementation of Africa's free trade agreement. The leaders also discussed on other pertinent issues such as the unconstitutional change of government and peace and stability of the continent. Now, the African Union also gets a new chair, the president of the Union of Comoros, who vows to implement all the agreed decisions during the summit. Let's have more details of that in this report.
2 days of intense conversation among leaders of the continent. The theme of this year's summit is accelerating the implementation of the Continental Free Trade Area, and it took the longest debating hours. The incoming chairperson of the Union, who is also President of the Union of Comoros, Azali Assoumani, expressed commitment to the full implementation of decisions.
Objectives that we have set for ourselves for the year 2023, which is the acceleration of the implementation of the AFCFTA. I shall leave no stone unturned to ensure that this becomes a reality, and also to ensure that we have peace and security, because there cannot be any development without peace.
The peace and security situation of the continent was also high on the agenda of the heads of state and governments. The summit decided unconstitutional change of government will not be tolerated, but sanctions must target responsible individuals, not citizens in respective nations.
we're mindful of taking sanctions. We also do understand that economic sanctions affect the very social fiber of our respective countries. That is why we are looking at targeted sanctions, especially those who are actors of those unconstitutional change of government, so that the populations do not suffer. And we want to extend our sincere sympathy to those Africans who are suffering from this unconstitutional change of government.
Another key decision is on a debt burden many African countries are facing at the moment. The summit has proposed a reform in the world's largest financial institutions.
Some have proposed moratorium, others have proposed a complete cancellation of debts. Therefore, the issue of debt is still a pending one, and it is having a dire toll on the economic and social development of our respective countries. The issue cannot be solved in isolation, especially given the fact that international monetary and financial systems do not operate in favor of our countries.
Dozens of side events were also held on situations in the Sahel, Libya, as well as Eastern DRC. The next big task now member states of the Continental Organization are facing is implementing decisions. The African Union entertains repeated critics and blames for weak performance in that regard, but many prefer to see light at the end of the tunnel this time around.
And that report there is coming from the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. Now back to home matters here, because a serious fire outbreak in the early hours of Tuesday have ravaged NASA Four Manufacturing and General Enterprise Company in a grueling fire incident at Shadow Layouts close to Denton Bridge. Materials worth of millions of dollars are said to have perished in the fire incident, leaving the hundreds of the company's employees in a limbo about their job security. Now, the owner of the company, a Lebanese businessman, was out of the country when the fire struck, and those in charge have declined to comment so far. Moses Imendi has more details of that in this report.
NASA Four Manufacturing and General Enterprise, a major mattress manufacturer and supplier in the Gambia and dealer of tricycles, car batteries and tires, is now in ruins after the company was caught in a wrenching fire incident that lasted more than 7 hours. Equipment worth millions of dollars have been lost to the devastating fire, with which comes a potential job loss for the staff of the company, who are mainly Gambians. Those managing the company on behalf of the owner, who is away, rejected approaches for interviews and declined to comment, but the executive director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Sana Dahaba, was at hand to share his impression on the fire incident, saying that a commission will be established to look into what might have caused the fire outbreak.
Actually, just 5:30 this morning, I got a call from someone that there is fire in this Nasils, fire foam factory. So I alerted my men, and I also tried to engage fire service so that they can come and see the extent of the fire, so that we can put together to make sure that we put out the fire. As of now, our primary objective is not to find out what causes the fire. What we are here for is to put up the fire. We can see there is huge economic damage, both measurable and unmeasurable income. You can see what's happening here now. What we are trying to do now is to make sure that we put up the fire so that NDMA with the stakeholders can establish a commission to make sure that we find out the cause of the fire.
Rohimundo Sise is an associate of the company owner, Nasa Karang, who she describes as a kind person.
I feel really bad today, honestly. My house caught fire and I didn't mourn. But this one I cried because the owner is a kind person and more than 300 Gambian youths are working in this company and he is taking good care of them. He gives them fares, buys them lunch every day and pays their salaries on time. Only a good person does that, and I know him, Nasir Karan, and his son Jacob Karan really well.
daf leen di fay seen salary kon nga xam ne kon kooku ku baax la waa ji ku baax la ku ñu am wax naa sax.
The company, she says, supplies mattresses across the country, and that the loss is not just for the company but for the Gambia at large. Mohamed Jallo, a staff of IG Gamstar Insurance Gambia company, however, said insurance companies exist for such unfortunate circumstances and there should be a compensation for the damages if the company is registered to an insurance company.
I can be worried a little bit, but to be honest with you, they should know that they are covered and there will be a refund of the damages that are done, because that's what we call a claim. So when the claims are put in place judiciously, they get replenished and the insurance pay for the cost. So we encourage everybody to make sure they insure their assets, properties and their investments with insurance companies that are worthy of it.
He advised companies to develop protective measures in case of emergencies. Considering the severity of the fire outbreak, Boubacar Keita, whose company provides services for fire prevention, says his heart is broken by the extent of the damage, while noting that businesses should consider having firefighting equipment in their spaces.
I think here most of the businesses are not taking this fire thing seriously. You understand? It's very important, because you cannot have such a businesses running in the Gambia. They don't even have fire measures there. So it's unfortunate and we feel sad, but then I think more need to be done. The government should look into this, and then, for all the businesses in the Gambia to be able to have fire extinguishers and other firefighting equipment in their places here.
The staff of the company, mainly youths, were noticeably shocked, seemingly hopeless and in anguish as they, together with the company owners, reel from the immeasurable loss suffered. For Eyeafrica News, I am Moses Imende.
And you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And from that very unfortunate story by Moses, we now take a break and come back shortly.
Africa Global brings you state-of-the-art commercial and retail spaces available for rent at Madiba Mall, located at the Brookwood Gardens Estate. Our commercial spaces comes with facilities such as 24-hour security, standby backup generator, air conditioning, shared conference room, and personal cash pour meters. If you are looking for a spacious and suitable business environment, look no further. Madiba Mall retail and commercial spaces are just what you need. Ocean View office spaces with limited availability. Call us today and secure a space. For more information, contact 733-3363 or 594-1053 or email at info@tapafricaglobal.com.
Welcome back, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Let's now look at the rest of the stories. Now, traditionalists have sounded their anger and resentment over the dedication of the shrines in the Makamalo Old Joshua, and call for an interface with whoever is responsible or risks severe spiritual consequences amid a suspected land encroachment. Moses Mendy again has more details of that in this report.
The shrine site in Kamalo is a place where traditionalists converge every Thursday for spiritual devotions to pray and appease the spirits believed to be housing there. They consider the shrines as sacred grounds for the practice of old beliefs and traditions inherited from their parents and those before them. But the land area hosting these shrines at Kamalu have been reportedly sold to an unidentified entity, leading to vandalism and desecration of the shrines. Traditionally identified places are largely respected and feared in African communities, and the enraged worshippers of the old belief have now pronounced calamity on those responsible for the violation unless talks are held to settle the matter. Mariama Jata is one of the discontented persons, and she said whoever is responsible for the illegal destruction of the shrines will be punished.
When you get to a place and see things you have never seen before, you must ask to know what they are about. We came to meet here on a Thursday and discovered that the shrines have been desecrated, and we were shocked and did not even know what to do. Entering this place was a challenge. Ourselves, we do not know much about this place because it was our grandparents that started it and we were kids at the time. Even me, who is speaking to you right now, I cannot really tell you what is here because I know only a little about this place. We inherited this place from our grandparents, and what they showed us is all we know. The destruction of the shrines is huge, and so many idols are violated here. Whether it was done intentionally or unintentionally, we don't know. But we do know that they have spoiled something we believed in, and it pains us because there are people whose needs depend on this place. If you hear Banjul today, it's this place that owns Banjul. Because when things get tough at Banjul and they come here, God usually takes care of their needs. But now that the shrines have been destroyed, those people have nowhere else to turn to. It will be bad. Some people even dedicated their children to these shrines, and when their wish for the child is granted and they come to pay what they have promised, they wouldn't know the place anymore. It becomes a trouble for the families. Therefore, those who did this will pay.
While expressing their frustrations after finding what happened to the shrines, Marta Papel, another believer, says that there must be imminent negotiations to avert severe punishment for the perpetrators.
We still can't understand what happened. Let those who bought the place and those who sold it come to us for a talk, so we can tell them what to do, because they have tampered with many shrines here. If they fail to do so, consequences will be unleashed and calamities will befall them. They have to come for interface with us, whether it is the government or whoever. If we tell you we are pleased with what has been done here, we will be lying, and this has to do with the idols. Therefore, if they fail to come, the consequences will spread across their lineage.
Bonwar, also known as Kuranchen, was born in the shrine site, and he explains having sighted government vehicles and motorcycles in the area. He warned that tampering with idols possesses far-reaching consequences.
The people who did this know this place, because when I was coming, I saw cars and motorbikes with GG number plates. I know that it is the government, and on top of that, we came here and see what has been done to the shrines. The problem is, many shrines to which children have been dedicated are now destroyed. Also, people come here to seek solutions to their problems, and after getting answers, they come back to pay. Many of them have not come yet. While idols are not something people should joke with, because when some tampers with them, they make so the person together with the children and grandchildren suffer the consequences. We do not wish that for anybody. That is why we call you, so that those who sold or bought the land can know the risk.
The shrine site in Kamalo is one of the very old places in the Gambia, and having existed for more than 4 decades, it has survived the country's first, second, and now the third republic. For Eyeafrica News, I am Moses Imendi.
And on to our final story next, because through a European Union-supported program, Tunisia has launched an online platform meant to serve as a unique access point to timely, comprehensively migration statistics and reliable information about migration data globally. Now, amidst the compounding migration challenges, the program coordinators hope the platform will help to improve their understanding of the real migration issues. Tunisia has become one of the main departing centers for migrants trying to reach Europe through the Mediterranean. Here's more details of that in this report.
The online information system is managed by the National Observatory on Migration. It aims to address data gaps and assess key migration trends in the North African country.
The data and statistics on migration are often contradictory because there are different sources and stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society, and national organizations. We have gathered, organized, and analyzed this valuable information to better understand and deal with migration waves.
The new information system on migration will provide accurate data on regular and irregular migration. Tunisia has become one of the main points of departure for migrants trying to reach Europe from Africa.
We are studying the organized migration phenomenon to improve its governance, but also the governance of irregular migration. We offer concrete solutions to decision makers in order to deal with regular and irregular migration issues.
Since 2011, the European Union's bilateral assistance to Tunisia amounted to over 1.7 billion euros in grants for different programs. This EU financial and technical support includes the management of regular and irregular migration.
The European Union wishes to renew its partnership with Tunisia within a global approach on migration. This new approach would take into consideration all the dimensions: the mobility, the diaspora, but also the challenges linked to the fight against human trafficking, the trafficking of migrants, trans-border criminality, which costs hundreds of lives per year.
Tunisia is aiming to set up a comprehensive national system on migration by collecting updated data from the Interior and Foreign Affairs departments, as well as the Higher Education and Scientific Research Ministry.
According to the National Institute of Statistics and the National Migration Observatory, 59,000 foreign migrants live in Tunisia, including 21,000 people from sub-Saharan Africa. Over 1 million Tunisian nationals are also living abroad, including over 30,000 irregular migrants in Europe.
You have been watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And from that migration report there from Tunisia, we now eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But of course, stick around. Masire Job is coming with a special Musolu program, so you can look forward to that right after this news edition. But for now, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.